7 hours under the Abuja sun, senior citizens refusing to leave, lawyers, activists, civil society leaders, and one promise that should make every Nigerian, whether you're in Lekki, London, or Lokoja, sit up and pay attention. If they don't restore electronic transmission of results, we will shut down the National Assembly. Straight up, simple. This is not a threat. This is a declaration of war on electoral fraud. And before you dismiss this as another protest that will fade by next week, you need to understand what just happened inside that Senate chamber and why these Nigerians are willing to burn it all down to stop it. Let me paint you a picture of what's at stake. While you were battling fuel queues, while you were calculating whether to buy rice or pay NEPA bill, while you were surviving this economy one day at a time, the Nigerian Senate did something that should terrify you. They removed the mandatory requirement for real-time electronic transmission of election results. Read that again. Mandatory. Gone. Now, instead of your vote being uploaded immediately from your polling unit for the whole world to see, that decision rests with one man, the INEC Chairman. His discretion, his mood, his political calculations. You think that's harmless? Let me remind you what discretion looked like just 2 years ago. February 25th, 2023. You remember that day, don't you? You woke up early. You stood in line for hours. You voted. The BVAS machine verified you. Everything worked perfectly. The technology was there. The infrastructure was ready. Nigerians showed up in numbers that scared the establishment. Then came the uploading of results. And suddenly, mysteriously, the same technology that worked flawlessly during accreditation couldn't transmit results. System failure, network issues, technical glitches. Pick your excuse. Results disappeared into what one of the protesters called the black hole of INEC servers. Polling agents watched their copies of result sheets show one thing, while what appeared on INEC's portal showed something completely different. In some places, nothing appeared at all. And then at 3:04 in the morning, when Lagos was asleep, when Kano was asleep, when the whole country had given up waiting, Mahmoud Yakubu stood at the International Conference Center and declared Bola Ahmed Tinubu the winner. One of the lawyers at yesterday's protest described what followed with words that still give me chills. The next morning, it was as if there was ice everywhere in Nigeria, as if Nigeria was a cemetery. The silence wasn't celebration, it was shock. It was millions of Nigerians waking up to realize their votes had been cremated overnight. That silence, that's what happens when a people lose faith in the one thing that separates democracy from dictatorship, the belief that your vote matters. Now, here's the question nobody in power wants you to ask. Who benefits when your vote can't be tracked in real time? The answer is walking the halls of the National Assembly right now.
Let me tell you about the man leading the Senate, the man who presided over the removal of electronic transmission safeguards, Senate President Godswill Akpabio. In his own election, a university professor, a respected academic, was convicted and sent to prison for forging Akpabio's election results. Not alleged, not suspected, convicted. A professor's career destroyed, his freedom taken, because he participated in rigging an election that put Akpabio in power. And now, that same Akpabio is leading the effort to remove the one mechanism that would prevent exactly that kind of fraud in 2027. You can't make this up. The man who benefited from forged results is now ensuring the system stays rigged. But it gets worse. When the protesters, over 250 million Nigerians represented by these civil society groups, tried to submit their petition yesterday, they were blocked. Police barricades, intimidation, the classic playbook, make it difficult enough that people give up and go home. They didn't go home. Comrade Aisha Yesufu, the woman who became the face of #EndSARS, the woman who has spent decades fighting for this democracy, stood in that sun for 7 hours. Senior citizens, people who should be resting, enjoying their grandchildren, stood with her. Young activists, lawyers who could be chasing billable hours stood there because they understand something fundamental. When you lose free and fair elections, you don't just lose political power, you lose everything. You lose the ability to hold leaders accountable. You lose the ability to remove the people destroying our economy, our security, our future. You lose the right to complain because they'll tell you, you voted for this, even when you know, we all know, that's a lie. One of the lawyers, speaking on behalf of the coalition, put it plainly. The Senate has laid the foundation for the criminal conduct of the 2027 election. That's why we're not giving them any chances. We're tackling this head-on. Here's what they are demanding, and it's not complicated. Make electronic transmission of results mandatory, not optional, not subject to INEC Chairman's discretion, not dependent on network availability or any other excuse. Mandatory. Put it in the Electoral Act. Make it the law. And if the Senate refuses, shut down the National Assembly. Straight up, simple. Those weren't my words. Those were the words of protesters who have exhausted every polite channel, every legal avenue, every peaceful appeal. Now let me be clear about what shut down means, because this isn't rhetoric. This is Nigerians saying, we will make the country ungovernable until our votes count. We will occupy that space. We will bring this system to a standstill, because what's the alternative? Watch silently while they build the 2027 rigging machine bolt by bolt? Aisha Yesufu said something yesterday that summarizes the mood. This administration may have the judges, they may have the police, they may have the soldiers, but they don't have Nigerian citizens, and enough is enough. There's a phrase the protesters kept repeating. When there is no hope, what comes next? Chaos. But here's what I need you to understand. They're not threatening chaos, they're preventing it. Because the real chaos is what happens when 200 million people realize their votes mean nothing. When the social contract is so broken that people stop believing in any system at all. The Senate thinks Nigerians will forget about this in 2 weeks, the way we forgot about #EndSARS when they sent soldiers to Lekki, the way we've forgotten about every stolen election, every broken promise, every betrayal. But these protesters are betting something different. They're betting that this time, Nigerians have had enough. 2027 is not 3 years away. The rigging is happening now. The foundation is being laid today. The only question is, will you wait until February 2027 to realize your vote was stolen in February 2025? Or will you demand right now, while there's still time, that your vote counts?